Arcturus Mandala. And then what happened? What was the result of that?
So then I came back, and then I finally went to the draft board to go give these letters. And I gave these letters to the guy, the black guy at the desk. He looks at these two letters. He leaves these British letters from the companies, record company. He looks at them and he throws them in the garbage. He goes, "That shit ain't even American."
Okay. What? Did
and I'm like, "Hey, that's my ticket to ride. That's my ticket to ride, dude. Can I have my papers back?" No. The only thing you can have is your weapon and your boots. Now go get in line for the oath taken. I mean, it was ridiculous, you know.
So you're 20
all these
years
sheeple
old.
were just standing in line.
Right.
Yeah?
Okay. Okay. So describe that. Yeah. I mean, that's okay. So he's there. You're there, kind of going, but there's other people waiting in line, and that's your turn, and you're coming, and he's just kind of like poo-pooing all of your ideas. Yeah. That's
No, there was a whole. They put people in buses and they took them to L.A. and everybody's being processed. I was just another drop in the bucket character, you know. Everybody was just reduced to numbers.
So you went with John Peel to the psychiatrist in San Francisco, came back to L.A. This is all happening in L.A.
No.
Sorry.
He was staying in Riverside. John Peel was staying in Riverside.
Okay, but did he drop you back?
He was a DJ. He was a DJ there, you know.
But did he drop you back in L.A. to, after San Francisco to kind of deal with the army?
No, after San Francisco, we went back to his house, and it was a few days later that I actually had to go in for the appointment.
Okay, I get it now. And then what happened after that? After he threw the stuff in there, then what did you do? What happened?
I tried to talk my way out of it, and there was no way. I was like, everybody was trying to do what I was trying to do. Everybody, and so finally they said, you got to go take the oath. And so here I am getting in. There's a door with a skull and crossbones on it, and there's a door that has a question mark. And I'm standing there going, what am I doing what kind of choice is this, Who's not going to take the question mark? Who's just going to stand there and let this question mark not get used, So I ran out of the room.
Literally.
And I ran out of the building. And then they even chased me a bit. And then I ran over and I got on a freeway on-ramp and I hitchhiked back to John Peel's place.
Wow.
And then eventually, I got arrested. And had to go to court. And the lady judge told me that you can either go to prison for 5 years or you can go to army for 2 years, So I was thinking, well, if I go to prison, I can't even escape. But if I go to the army, I can try to get out and at least escape, But so it was a question of, okay, well, at least I can escape from this place.
Okay. And so tell us what happened.
Next thing I know, they sent me off to the army, and I'm being processed along with all these other people who are complaining and bitching and moaning and hating it. But after 1 week, they were all totally into it. And I was like, what? These lunatics? And it's like, it was a nut job house. It was like they were there to make a bunch of kids into killers, real killers. Mm-hmm. And they had people chanting and kill, 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 a one-word mantra, as loud as possible, endlessly, And they would scream at you, louder, louder, kill, kill, kill. I mean, people say that's real. I say, absolutely, that's real. That's the most real thing. There's almost nothing more real than the kill, kill, kill chant,
So you were kind of put up in kind of army barracks, and then the people.
Yeah, Fort Ord.
So how long? Oh, how long did that part of the story go on for? How long did you tolerate all that for?
The full boot camp, and I was doing everything to get out in boot camp. And in boot camp is where I met couple of other people like myself who weren't into this and weren't being brainwashed at all, and just thought it was horrible. And one guy gave me a little Bhagavad Gita, the Gita Press, a little Gita Press Bhagavad Gita with a picture of Krishna on the front. I had no idea who's Krishna.
Yeah.
For me, psychedelic life was like this. You're coming to the spiritual awakening, but what's in that spiritual reality? No, I had no idea, or it wasn't even. So all of a sudden, there's this Gita, little Bhagavad Gita from the Gita Press, Gorakhpur. Yeah. Somebody gave it to me, and it had the picture of Krishna on it. And then about a month later, I met the devotees, and I ran away from the army and met the devotees in San Francisco.
Didn't you get a little help from somebody to escape that second time?
I got from the second lieutenant.
Can you tell a bit about that story? Because that's really, we're trying to, there you are. You've escaped once. You've gone to court. They said you can either go there or you can do this, and you're back in this boot camp. What are the after you've kind of tried to run away first of all, and they must be kind of like, oh, this guy's a bit of a problem guy, whatever. Keep your eye on him, and then. What was this whole thing, this connection with this lieutenant, and how did that brew, and how did that lead to you escaping?
Well, I think boot camp was 2 or 3 months. I forget how long it was, but it was like 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, everybody is being shipped out to advanced infantry training or whatever their assignments are going to be. So I was also supposed to be shipped out to some place in Georgia somewhere. At least I'm in California. At least I know where I am. And so I'm thinking, well, I can't. There's no way I'm going to be able to continue. I'm going to have to get out of here now because this isn't working. So the night before we were supposed to be shipped out, some guy turned me on to a thing that you could do, and I did it. Where he gave me a thermometer,
Mm-hmm.
and you heat it up and you shake it down to 102, and you keep it in your pocket, and then you go into the sick bay and you tell the guy you got a fever, and these idiots don't even touch you. I mean, these military people are morons,
Mm-hmm.
And so. They didn't even touch me. They put a thermometer in. So when he wasn't looking, I switched the thermometer. And when he came back, he looked at it, okay, and he sent me to the hospital. And I was in the hospital for, a week and missed the flight, And everybody was gone, so I was the only guy there, except the officers and the drill sergeants.
Okay.
And and I mean, they were checking my temperature in the hospital 3 times a day, and 3 times a day I had to go do that.
Okay.
Heat up the thermometer and shake it down and switch the thermometer for a week. Mm-hmm. Nobody touched me. Mm-hmm. Or felt that I had a fever or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how idiotic.
Mm-hmm.
That's the people that are going to protect the world from World War III. These lunatics, And so they sent me to the first lieutenant's office, and he gave me a bunch of hard time and was telling me stuff like, "You're just going to stand there while some VC rapes your mama." I mean, this is the level of intellect, Yeah. You're just going to stand there while... In other words, are you either with us or you're with the communists? I mean, how about neither of you, It's hard to tell who's worse. I mean, you're in the army, man. For what is the meaning of communism, man? You're just a number now. You don't have any freedom. Where's the meaning of communism? How could it get worse than the army, You have zero freedom.
So this lieutenant's telling you that, and then what happens?
And he punched me in the stomach. Oh, I broke down and started crying. I said, I just can't kill these people. I can't go do this. This is lunacy. And he said, I told him, I said, the Viet Cong are interested in raping my mother, and he punched me in the stomach. He got up and punched me in the stomach, and was telling me, for sure, you're gonna have to go over there, and so anyway, it was. He was getting violent with me, and I was really upset. And so this black drill sergeant came in, who was kind of this radical character that I didn't really know him, but he told the lieutenant to calm down, and he picked me up and took me to the second lieutenant. So I'm in there with the second lieutenant who didn't look sympathetic, but he turned out to be sympathetic.
I see.
He told me the story that he was being shipped out to Vietnam, but he had a 1-month holiday. And he said, he asked me where I was going to go. I told him I was going to run away.
Were you talking privately? Sorry, were you talking privately at this time in a private room? No one else was hearing, and it was like
right.
Okay,
right.
Okay.
First of all, I couldn't believe I was telling him this, but he was being really friendly, and he said, "Where are you going to go?" I don't know, but I'm going to get out of here. Where do you want to go? I'll go to San Francisco to see some friends. And so he said, "Well, listen, I'm going to leave tomorrow for my 1-month holiday before I have to go to Vietnam, and how about you? I'll take you out. How about we go together and stay with your friends?" This guy's Bill. He was the second lieutenant. So we went together. He went to the first kirtan with me when I went to hear the devotees the first morning.
Okay.
The next morning I heard.
Now,
he hung with us for a month.
Oh, really? So did you know where you were going in San Francisco, or did you just? How did that end up? How did you end up with the Krishna? How did that happen?
No, I had some friends who were staying in San Francisco that I told them if I would run away, I'll come up there. He said, "You come up to stay with us." So they were staying in a place called the Crystal Palace on Hayes Street.
Okay.
And they had a room there, and they were staying there. And the room next to them was Sham Shunder in Malati.
Okay.
And so, and I think maybe Mukunda was also living there, you know, and so. But that night, before I met those people, that night, my friends were telling me, "Hey, you want to go see the Hindu chants tomorrow morning? They're going to do it in the Golden Gate Park." And I'm like, "The Hindu chants? Yeah, it's all music." I'm like, "Music? You know, like the whole idea. Like I was in a band, and now you're going to tell me that yoga can be music? Well, let's go." So I went down there in the early morning to see what was going on and chanted with the devotees. They were just like a bunch of hippies, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was dressed like a devotee.
So that was the very first time.
But it was.
Sorry, that was the very
Yeah.
first time. So you were
Right,
in that
right.
flat, and then they said go down to the park to hear the chanting. So you go to. Did you
No,
meet
somebody asked me. Somebody asked me, "Do you want to go hear the Hindu chants tomorrow?" These aren't even devotees; these are just people
Right.
that had heard about that. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't even know what it was either. I said,
Ah,
"Yeah,
I
let's go see it."
see. Okay.
So after the kirtan, you know, everybody's sitting in a circle. You know how they do in the early days. They don't know anything. You know, these are and so. But who needs to know anything if you got the Maha Mantra?
Yeah.
And so after the chanting, I went up to one of the senior most looking devotee who was Hayagriva, you know, because he had a beard and he looked like a senior guy, you know, looked like the oldest guy.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, it was lovely. I said, do you meditate after the chant? He said, the chant is the meditation.
Okay.
And that was like, that for me, that you know, that made a lot of sense, you know. The
Okay.
chant is the meditation. You meditate on the chant, you know.
Was that at
And
Hippie,
so,
was that
and
at
then I
Hippie-
met-
Sorry, was that at the famous Hippie Hill in Golden Gate Park, or where was that happening?
That was in, you know, right there in Golden Gate Park, where they sit in a big circle and chant with people sitting around, you know,
Yeah. Okay.
the place they always go.
And then.
And so I asked Hayagriva, and he told me that the chant is the meditation. And then I met Mukunda, and I told him about my problems, and I was a fugitive, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and you know, I don't know. I lost my freedom. I don't have my family. I don't have any money. Got no passport. I got no anything. I don't know what to do. You know, I'm on the run. He said, "Yeah, don't worry. Swamiji's coming. He'll tell you what to do," which is what happened. You know, Swamiji did come, and I got initiated. And Prabhupada told me to go to Vrindavan.
But in
He
that.
told me in his.
Sorry, in that period from when you went to that first chant and when you met Prabhupada, was it just a matter of days, or was it weeks, or?
No, it was about a month. About a month. Yeah.
So, and during
About
that
a
1
month.
month from the first chanting before Prabhupada coming, were you okay? They were living in their apartments, but was there there was a community, a temple there that did you used to go regularly
On
and take
Frederick
part?
Street. Frederick Street. On Frederick Street. Yeah.
And it's
So we used to go there for
okay. And was that
go there for the kirtan in the morning. Go for the kirtan in the morning. Have breakfast with Guru Das and Yamuna and oatmeal with brown sugar, and it was wonderful. You know, those days.
Who were the other? Okay, else was there at that time apart from that? Was Jivananda there yet, or was Upendra there yet, or who were the other people?
Upendra was there. And what was his name? Little guy, really weird little guy. His name was Subal. Subal was there, and remember Subal, little Subal. Used
I
to
think there's a couple
dance
of different Subals, so I'm not really sure. One became a sannyasi. I don't know.
The
if
first,
that's
the early Subal, Subal, and
So-
used to have had long hair and real straight hair, and then it was also Shamsunder and Mukunda was married to Janaki,
yeah.
and so I was hanging out with them really a lot, you know. And the people I was living with, we moved to another place on Frederick Street itself called Casa Madrona Apartments, and those guys were acid dealers. They were selling acid, you know, and I was just hanging out with them, trying to figure out what to do. And so when Prabhupada came and I got initiated, he told me. I told him I don't have any passport, any money, any freedom. I don't even know. So he said, "With this mantra I'm giving you has the power to make all these things happen. Just absolutely limitless power. As much power as God has. That he can snap his whole fingers and make this cosmos. That's how much power this mantra has. And you just chant this mantra and all those things that you need are going to come." Which is exactly what happened, you know.
So when you had been back in San Francisco, you got a copy of the Gita Press Bhagavad Gita, and you've been reading that obviously at that time.
No, when I first was in the army, I got the Gita Press Bhagavad Gita. So I took that with me, and I had that with me when I went
before
and all of a sudden, here's Krishna, all of a sudden, this is Krishna, this is the same thing, okay. And the Maha Mantra, which is music and sound vibration, is itself the object of meditation, So these are all revelations from a psychedelic, standpoint. All of a sudden, wow, now we're really getting somewhere,
And in that 1 month while you were there before Prabhupada came, and you would devotees? I mean, how did you? For Prabhupada to give you initiation, you must have had at least a bit of the basic training of the. What in that month before you met Prabhupada? What did you kind of learnt about the Krishna thing by being there in that time?
Well, I got the Bhagavatam, and I was chanting. And I was hanging out with Shamsundar and Malati, and Gurudas and Janaki, Gurudas and Yamuna and Mukunda and Malati, and Janaki. So I was hanging out with these people, and there was other devotees too. I didn't really know much of the other ones too closely, but I remember there was people like who was there? There was Devananda Swami was there, and. Yeah, there was, and of course that those San Francisco people. I mean, and there was also Hayagriva was there all the time.
Just for the benefit of some of the listeners who might not be familiar with the Bhagavatam, you see, you mentioned the Bhagavad Gita, which is the discussion of Krishna and Arjuna, the basic, but the Bhagavatam and that specific copy that you got hold of. That was Prabhupada spent the last couple of years before he came to the West preparing and translating. There's all these stories and endeavors to get these published. There's even a famous picture of him presenting it to Lal Bahadur Shastri, who was the Prime Minister. So it was a big thing, this message, and bringing this book. The Bhagavad, it's called sometimes the Bhagavad Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and so it's in this tradition that Srila Prabhupada was bringing, this Vaishnava tradition. This is the core book that's the foundation, you could say, from all the different Vedic teachings. And so, how much of that did you imbibe? Do you think? I mean. I'm trying to get, you see, the perspective of, like the amount of time, the amount of training. And then Prabhupada came to this place called Stilson Beach. Now, I think you described...
Stinson Beach.
Stinson Beach, sorry. Can you describe that whole experience? Because you described it the other day, how you met him and what had happened there at that time. How that came about.
Well, Mukunda said, they kept telling me, Prabhupada's coming and you got to meet him. You can get initiated. So, we went out, we hitchhiked, Mukunda and I hitchhiked out to Stinson Beach.
Okay.
And when we got out there, the only people there was Prabhupada and Kirtanananda and Upendra. And the first person I saw was Kirtanananda. And if somebody would have told me this is the guru, I would have just left immediately, because he was a weird-looking dude, Mm-hmm. I definitely wouldn't consider him, or would not have been interested if that would have been Prabhupada. And so then Prabhupada came out. He was really small. I mean, he's tiny, because he was not only shorter than I expected, but he was also really emaciated because he had that heart attack. So he was on his way to India to recover. Mm-hmm. So he was really small, and when I was introduced to him, I didn't know you were supposed to bow down, and nobody else did. And Mukunda said, "Swamiji, this is Richard." And so I put my hand out, and Prabhupada shook my hand. We shook hands.
That's lovely. I love that.
And then 10 minutes later, I'm being initiated.
Wow. And was it? Did he just give you beads? Was there any other ritual, or how was it? Was it very?
Well, it was
simple?
just me. The only person being initiated was me. So Prabhupada sat down on this like a bed, next to a window overlooking the beach, with his back to the beach, and I'm sitting at his feet. And he first of all, he explained some things to me about the Maha Mantra. Then he took the beads I had, and he chanted on them, 108 beads, and he gave them to me and told me what the meaning was, and asked me, and that's why I started telling him my problems. And he already knew my problems because Mukunda had told him. And he told me that this Bhagavatam has the address in there, Brindavan,
Yeah.
Go there. Go there.
Okay.
That,
Okay.
how do I go there? No passport, no money, no freedom. I'm a fugitive. Don't worry. You chant this mantra. All those things will be taken care of. And
Okay.
that's basically what was the beginning of my beginning of my faith in the Maha Mantra. That
Amazing.
for sure has
That's the fun.
has
Do you
this
know
power.
the actual date of that initiation? Is there a date for that actual? Do you know which date it
There,
was?
I don't know, but I mean, there's people who would know, like in the because he was only there for
Oh
2 days.
It's in August. That's it. I have checked it out. It's
Right.
3 days. I think he was there. Okay.
Yeah,
So then after that,
because I got initiated the second day he arrived, and then the next day he came to San Francisco and gave a to the temple and gave a talk.
okay.
And that's where he told us that he didn't know if he was going to be able to come back or if he was going to survive, and he just was
Right.
entreating us to not forget what he had given us. And he broke down emotionally,
Wow.
and we all broke down emotionally because who can see that and not get, For me, it was like this old man is crying because he's so concerned with my well-being. And all he's asking me is not to forget what he has told me, what he has told us. And the next day we took him to the airport.
Basically, there was just a few people in New York and a few people in San Francisco. I don't know if there was anybody in Montreal or anything at that time. So when he
Well,
left,
this occasion, the room was full of
Okay.
people. And when Prabhupada started talking about he really didn't want us to forget, no matter what happens, and he couldn't speak, and he started crying, and it was immediately, so touching that you couldn't see that and not remember it because it was, I've never seen anything like it, honestly.
wow, yeah, I mean it's incredible just to imagine that. Okay, so we're in August, early part, I think, kind of first week or second week of August, 77. The summer of love is at the end, kind of, the summer. So what happened after that? After Prabhupada left, how long did you stay? So you've got no passport, or have you? You don't have a passport. You're kind of a fugitive from the government.
I am a fugitive,
Yeah, you
deserted
are
from the army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're 20 years old at this time. You're 20.
Right.
So so you start thinking, did you immediately think, I'm gonna go to India now? What was the immediate thought? I'm gonna go off and do that.
That was the plan. I just got a guru. He told me to go to Brindavan and chant Hare Krishna. Here's the address. And that was the plan. So I asked my friend, what am I going to do? And they said, well, here's my birth certificate. And somebody else said, hey, here, we'll buy you a ticket, Okay. And so I took that birth certificate and I went to the passport office in San Francisco and got a passport. And somebody got me a ticket to India. And then we were all sitting there talking about.
So the
I'm
ticket
gonna
was a
go
flight?
and-
it was an aeroplane flight to India.
Right.
Was it via London? Was it kind of like via
No,
London?
no. I never even used that ticket. It never got used. It's all set, but then the place got busted. The place where I was staying and the people I was with got busted. Not because they were looking for me, but just because they were busting this place. But I got swept up in that. And when I got swept up, I gave that new passport as my ID. Because I couldn't give my real ID because I was a fugitive,
Right. And then what? So what happened from that?
Then we were in the San Francisco jail for a week, and
Okay.
it was really, really scary because I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm 20 years old. I was just in a rock band. I don't want any part of this, and now I'm in jail for false passport, and I'm a deserter from the army, and what's going on here, man? I didn't want any part of all this criminal activity, And so it really felt really weird. But then I finally managed to escape by the power of the holy name that somebody got me out of there and took me to L.A., and I got somebody else's ID and got another passport in Los Angeles. And that passport is what I went to India on, but I went to India via London.
Okay.
Because I didn't really, somebody got me a ticket to London, and I went to London and stayed there until the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And then in January of '68, I flew directly to Bombay, then Bombay to Delhi, and then took a train to Mathura and went to Radha Damodar Temple, and they didn't have a clue what I was talking about. What ISKCON? What Swamiji? Nobody can stay here. There's nobody here.
But before we just quite get there, why did you kind of dilly-dally in England for 3 months when Prabhupada said to go to India? What happened to you in England, and what was the point for you? What was part of your story? You're going off to India, going to meet Swamiji, but you're in England, and you were there, you were the misunderstood, you were about to be signed, you've gone to this, you escaped, and now you're back in England. So what happened in those 3 months on your way to India?
Matura's Mandala.